get here. If I did this right, then we're live. If I didn't, then it's Texas' fault. I think it's probably fair.
Looks like it's live.
Yep,
Getting an ad though, so
it's absolutely live.
How dare you, Swifty, not be subbed to Zero Gravity Gaming at all?
I'm not.
As I am watching an ad right now, also. So.
The advantage that I actually have at the moment is that I'm logged into the official CGG.
Okay. So if people are here, let's see. Do we have anybody in chat yet?
We've got a little bit of people, I would say.
Oh, I need
don't know how
to.
many.
All right, y'all talk for a second. I need to fix something real quick.
Okay, we can talk for a second.
Let's talk.
Let me. Apparently, I sound really low. I have my output as high as I can get it. Actually, I could do this. How about now? Like, it'll take me a second, but like I'm literally holding my mic in front of my face as if I am some sort of
You look like Rudolph.
Right? Like the light on my microphone makes me look like Rudolph. Is this better?
Are we all gonna do it?
No.
I hope that wasn't too loud.
Is this
Oh,
good?
I just knocked over everything on my desk. Nope.
Nope, not better. Oh god. Okay.
Yadin, I see you in chat.
A little bit? Okay. I can't really, like, get louder than this, though. I guess this means I need to get a better microphone.
Is that what we need to do? All right.
I don't
think
know.
Y'all let me know. I am not seeing chat for some reason. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Yeah, so as we go on, we can adjust volumes here and there if you need us to. Just let us know. I'll do my best to get it adjusted. I am, as anyone would expect, we're running a decently jank setup here for Silver Scraps, as we do every week. It's kind of our brand, and so we're kind of fix it as we go, if that's all right.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Do we want to get started? Is it time? This is.
I think it's time to get started. We have enough people that are going to be paying attention, but not enough so that we don't have to re-explain ourselves in 5 minutes when somebody is mad that we didn't talk about their team.
Tex really does look sexy today. That's very very true. Tex.
So let's start there.
Yeah. The elephant in the room is that there's a lack of text and a presence of Swifty here. So we've decided to upgrade. Instead of having 3 horrible opinions, we're gonna have 4 horrible opinions.
Yeah, baby.
And so thank you, Swifty, for we've had a couple weeks off where either one of us of the 3 couldn't do a show. And it felt like it made more sense to add a 4th person, so when someone's out, it's not just 2 boomers sitting in a chat talking. So
it's 3 boomers and one looks like he's 12. So.
20 minutes of content for Dex and Tecker to use, and still somehow was missing.
Yeah, and I was excited about that episode too. It sadly didn't happen. I was.
If people are interested, we could release the raw leopard footage of me ranting at a camera.
I think it would be good, personally. So Swifty, I didn't want to. You don't have to dox yourself, but
yes.
Are you in the boomer category? Like where are you at in the age?
What qualifies boomer for you?
Okay, how old are we, Leper?
Okay, so you and I are both 30.
I'm not 30.
Apparently,
I'm out of college for a few years, but I'm not there. I'm 24.
All right, 24. You're not quite there.
Okay.
You're not quite there.
Yeah,
17-year-old think I'm a boomer.
But you're pulling down the average age of our podcast a good bit. So I don't know how old Tex. I think Tex is like late 20s, right?
Late 20s, I think.
I don't know.
Given all of the things that we are struggling with, I definitely think late 20s.
Well, we are not here to talk about.
It's okay, Swifty. You'll have your
26,
existential crisis in a year or 2.
We're not here to talk about how old me and Leper are in Texas. We are here to talk about IBS, right? It's been 2 weeks without a Silver Scraps, and what we've kind of decided to do is to give you guys where we think the teams stand. And are we calling them power rankings? Is there a better word than that?
I don't think there's a
powerful rankings. That's what they are.
Power rankings,
powerful.
Unfortunately.
Powerful rankings. Are they power rankings? Not quite.
Are they powerful? You bet your sweet bum they are.
Good. Yeah. So we're going to kind of give you. We have 12 teams that are left in the league, um, and we're gonna kind of try to give you a rough idea of where we think people stack up against each other.
Yeah. Unfortunately, just given the fact that we have 16 divisions and we've done a lot of power rankings for them, we were sitting here talking, and it really felt like we would be saying the same stuff that we said a couple weeks ago if we did division by division power rankings. So this time we're doing the entire league.
Yeah. So let's let a little bit of chat interaction because we couldn't decide what we wanted to do. Do we start at the top or the bottom? Let's get a couple responses in chat. Should we start from who we think's the best teams or who we think's the worst teams? Basically, should we start out with Flame or start end with Flame? It's kind of where that is. The middle.
Like that guy that was chilling in the back of Decker's stream. I want his opinions.
I mean, yeah, we could get his. We could get him in later. That's fun.
So good.
Okay,
Bottom.
I think. Okay, so
Start the flame.
So that I think is a good spot to start. So we are almost universally the bottom.
And Chubby wanted middle, but we're not going to do the middle. That's
the fact that people are screaming that they want to get flamed is an
to.
amazing thing for me to say.
Okay, so I will start, and I might this might be controversial, right? In my opinion.
Wait, can I guess?
12,
can I guess? Can I guess?
You can guess. You can guess.
Is it Shogun Esports?
No, that would be number 14.
Okay, yeah. Oh, whoops, I was close. All right, what do we got?
Same strategy.
Number 12, same strategy.
We're just gonna start with
is my boy Lil Rodney on that team?
That is your boy Little Rodney.
So let's go over the roster. The roster right now, I've got it pulled up here.
Rodney.
So we have Tamar in the top lane. This is just going off of the doc, which may or may not be right, but I think it's right. So we got Tamar in the top lane, Solaster in the jungle, Chair Force 1, and I can't pronounce her ADC. What's her ADC? How do you pronounce his name, Leopard? Do you know?
Old Sad Boy Summer?
No, he's on the sub spot that I can see. According to the roster, Old Sad Boy is on the sub spot.
I believe this is Dagnira.
Dagnira sounds good. That sounds better than I was going to say.
That's a name.
Chief Chipira is the support.
Well, no, that's not the support because as far as
Chirpa?
I know, they haven't showed up.
Chirpa.
It's clearly Chirpa.
Chirpa is definitely what it is.
Deepak Chopra 03.
Dagnira is identified as female. Okay.
I just do my best to say they. If I don't say they, then someone call me out on it. That's my
same. I'm gonna inevitably do that. Call me out.
So ultimately, this is the reason that I have same strategy as well, right? They definitely have solid players. They have no names. They have people that I think are really good on this roster. Unfortunately, it's week 6, and we don't know who's playing.
We don't.
Yeah, that's always like a big no. You know what I mean?
Would I say that as we stand right now, if we had like a gold gauntlet, do I see this team getting out? Probably, right? Like this is a team that can that they've got enough time, right?
So is this a team that has had a new roster every single week?
I don't think they've played with the same 5 players all season.
So it's never been the same 5 players week to week.
I could pull it up and check it, but I think it may at the most twice. At the most twice.
Are they 2 and 3?
No,
they're 1 and 3.
1 and 3.
1 and 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
And who was it that they beat?
They beat RAR. Looks like.
Yeah, because RAR FF'd.
That's right.
I saw that. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah, that was an interesting decision to make. So you have same strategy, right? You have same strategy. I would argue that RAR is the worst team in the league. Personally, so it's sort of the same rationale that you had with same strategies. Like their roster is super inconsistent, and who knows who's playing. But even them lost the same strategy and FF'd and like clashed. Like they went to play Clash instead of their league game or some shit like that, right? Like, that is the hallmark of a bad mental, and bad mentals lose IBS. They just do.
And that's
bad mentals
fair.
lose
think,
any elo.
Yeah.
Bad mental's bad mental. It
True,
supersedes play. You know what I mean?
I think that's absolutely super fair. I can get on board with that. So we would put RAR at number 12 on the list that we will reveal later in the show.
Yeah. Because it's difficult to switch scenes and shit. So
with that, then do we put same strategy at number 11? Do you have somebody that you would put below same strategy?
It's tough. I don't think so. I actually have in my irrational predictions. I believe I have same strategy ending the season at like 4th.
Yeah.
I like have. That's the thing though, because I had a lot of belief in the roster that they had in week 3 when we did that irrational predictions, but now going into what is this week 5, it's changed, and I have a lot less faith, and I think that pick is going to cost me some hot sauce. I think when it gets to the end of the season.
Me. I need to buy that. Okay.
So I can't think of a good reason to not put same strategy there, even though I don't want to. Can I say that at least? I super don't want to put them there. I just don't have a solid reason not to.
Oh, that might be the issue.
What's
Hopefully a heck of a lot louder for people. We'll see.
Did you fix something?
Yeah, you know how I have input issues.
Yeah.
So I'm making sure that I have the correct microphone here, and hopefully that.
Oh wait, you just got
a heck of a lot.
You sound a lot better now. That was a big old change.
Yeah. Okay. So everything was being routed through my webcam. That would be explain everything.
Now Downton Abbey is much softer than it was before.
Now Downton Abbey's
manageable. I'm sure that I am much louder. I was doing this, that there really was no difference.
Yeah, I didn't want to point it out. I just was like, I don't think there's a difference. But hey,
I don't want to point it out because I liked seeing the red on his face.
If we need to adjust any of the settings from that, let me know. It sounds okay in my ears, but you never know what it sounds like out there. Leperton Abbey. Text, either get on the show or get out of here. Don't do
Rudolph between. The red-nosed leper.
Leper. Now we just can't hear you at all. You're talking and we just can't hear nothing.
Oh no! Oh no!
We got nothing left.
All right, time for me to talk about teams I'm not caught up on.
Didn't accidentally. No, you're not deafened or muted for me.
Oh, no, it's things. It's like.
There we go.
Oh, went away. We'll give it a second, then we'll move on. Leper. Okay, we can keep going. Leper will figure out his audio.
That is shenanigans.
And we will move forward. Let's see where we at. So I think we kind of decided to move to put same strategy in the 11th spot. Again, I don't want them to be there. I really believed in that roster.
If Rodney's on the roster, it's hard not to believe in, right?
Yeah, like
it's hard not to, to be like, there's something there.
There's something
special.
Put Rodney in. I think tomorrow is a really good top laner. I don't know much about the rest of the roster. I think Kara is like a good support, but Kara is currently a sub. Like all the players that I know on same strategy are in the sub position. So it's hard to make any real arguments as to like they should be higher than 11th. But from that, we can move on to our 10th place team. Leper, are you with us?
No, he's not. All right, so this is going to be your predictions, and I'm going to pick you apart as best as I can.
My predictions. This was not a one-man show when we planned it. I think 11th place is probably LGC Spartans.
Okay.
So that's Zarptista, which in my mind might be one of the best top laners in the league. If this team is winning, it is because of Zarptista. Like, it's extremely good top laner. They can put up good numbers, usually even in losses. But the rest of the roster just kind of haven't fleshed out. I mean, Okumo in the jungle, Karsten in the mid lane, Z Mackin at ADC, and West Doorway as far as the doc is letting us know is what they are.
There we go.
Oh,
I
we
should
got
be
you
back now. Yeah.
I think you're back on. I think you're back on webcam,
agree
but we got you.
with what you were saying about LGC. However,
he's on the webcam.
No, I'm not. There's no way.
I can't
Downton
tell.
Abbey is
Downton
blasting.
Abbey is blasting. That was
Okay, so this is what we're gonna do there.
Oh wait, that's whatever's happening now. Just keep.
Whatever happened, just don't touch anything.
Just hands. Just do this the rest of the show.
Show me your hands, Leopard.
I just turned on push to talk. That's all I did.
Okay. All right, hit us with your LGC Spartans.
I think that they. So we're at 10th, right?
10th, yes.
I
10th.
think they're 9th.
Okay. Who do you think is the 10th place team?
Hyperion.
All right. I was kind of between Hyperion and LGC for this, but why do you think Hyperion loses to LGC Spartans? Oh my god! Did you push to talk?
Oh, sweet Mother Mary! Oh, this is hilarious.
There is Scuffed and there is.
I was excited to have you guys say something, and then I could pick apart like your actual conversation rather than just like trying to find ways to like extrapolate upon.
That's true.
Decker's soul comments.
So yeah, it was just so we haven't seen. I'll talk about Hyperion a little bit. So let me get over.
Yeah, what puts them in your mind?
So for me,
above
Hyperion. I really don't. Okay, hold on. I don't like flaming people, so I don't. This is hard for me, and I don't mean this is flame. I just think that there is when we look at LGC Spartans, there is a win condition. I think Zartista is a real win condition, and when I look at Hyperion, I don't see as much of a win condition in their roster. Now they have.
Now, are you only qualifying win conditions as a player that can
carry? A player
carry?
that can carry, yes, a player that can carry. A player that can carry other lanes going neutral or losing, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what I think of as a win condition.
A lot of where I'm coming from on this issue is that Hyperion hasn't had a consistent roster. They've also not played the same amount of games as LGC. I'm much more confident in LGC at this point taking out a win in that series that is not going to be played. It's going to be the final series of the season, right? They have a week all to themselves.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Would you consider, Decker? You brought up that you think what you would consider a win condition, having a player that can gain advantages and then transfer those advantages to the other sides of the map. Now, do you think the weaker sides of LGC are weaker than the weaker sides of Hyperion?
That is the giant question mark for me because I cannot.
In all seriousness, right? This is actually somewhat relevant. I'll release the video later from last week. I talked with a decent number of the coaches from both sides of the league, right? And a lot of people highlighted both Cartson and Z Mackin as really, really underrated players in their role. So I would think that there is a decent shot that they are even or in a better place on LGC than Hyperion. But we will have to wait till September 24th to find out.
I know. I was digging through the schedule. Like, when are these two teams playing? I want to know, but it's a reschedule, so it's going to be a while, and I'm sad
it's
about that.
Literally the final week of everything.
So where do you see? So looking at the Hyperion lineup now, do you have a bright spot? Like, where can they develop, and what can they like play through? As they try to make a last ditch run.
It's getting people to show up. Like that's a thing. It's like, unfortunately, it's similar to same strategy for me, where you got to play through whoever is going to be consistently there. And from talking with people around the team, that's a question mark still. And we're coming into week 6.
Okay, so yeah, it's just schedule gap, right? Like, if you can get a consistent schedule, then
a consistent schedule, people that are consistently interested, right? Like, get the synergy going. because they're so far behind the curve compared to LGC. I mean, LGC just took a game off of BDE.
What do you guys consider? This is a tangent, but it's related, especially to teams that are like really trying to improve. What do you guys consider is relevant practice for a team, especially one that's like trying to build synergy? In your opinion, how much should they be practicing? What should they be working on? Should you be playing against?
You mean how they should be practicing, or like what specifically in get like? Are you talking about like general stuff, like they should be VOD reviewing, they should be scrimming?
I have a really, really underrated answer here.
Okay.
I think that there is too high an emphasis, especially early on scrims, and a very, very low emphasis on flex. I think flex is super, super important, or playing 5v5 as normals, however you want to look at it, in a manner where you clearly can have an advantage by playing macro smartly, right? Where you can identify this worked. Because unfortunately, what does happen with scrims is that you can just get kind of blown out of the water and not there. And I think that getting several games or weeks even of flex games together is really, really important for that. But I also think that having some sort of procedure, if that makes sense, like different teams might do different things. Like when I had my best team ever, right? We never played as a group, as a full group, but the people that were making the shot calling decisions played together very, very frequently. We talked about what we wanted frequently, and the other people that weren't there were on board with what the call is. So it's a lot of figuring out how you want to play the game, or how you want that leadership and communication structure to go inside the game. And I think that if you're struggling to develop that and your scrims are incredibly one-sided, either in your favor or against you, flex is really important. That's
yeah. Swifty, give us your thoughts. What do you think about that?
I'll agree with Leper in the sense that I think that's just people overrate scrims, right? I think that it's weird. I think if you ask a group of 10 people, you're gonna get 10 different answers about scrims. A lot of people will say like, what happens in a scrim doesn't reflect what happens in a game. Like inevitably, the stakes are not as high. Like it's going to be different. What your team does in a scrim is going to inevitably be different in a game, right? Some people are going to tell you like, oh, scrims are for trying out new things. Some people are going to tell you scrims are for practicing discipline and practicing like, this is what we're going to do when come game time. Let's play it like we mean it. And I think they're overrated in the sense that because everyone has a very different view of what scrims can accomplish, there's only so much that you can get done in a scrim, if that makes any sort of sense. And I do agree that I think flex is helpful. I do think it's a double-edged sword, though. I think, and Leper kind of brought it up. I think that if you're a team that doesn't have synergistic issues, flex might not be that helpful. Because in my experience in flex, if you're playing on a team that is really on the same page and really trusts each other, there's not a lot you're going to run into in flex that's going to make you work for wins. You're going to beat teams in flex. Flex, a lot of the time, if you're a gold team in flex, you're going to be playing against 5 plat friends. And 5 plat friends who don't practice, competitive league together aren't going to be like, as macro game cohesive, you know what I mean? As a group of gold players who are practicing that aspect of the game. I think something that's undervalued is VOD reviewing yourself. I know a lot of teams will do to varying level of degrees, sitting down as a team. If they have a coach maybe watched this VOD before, will highlight points in the game that they want to point things out, and they can understand as a team when you can take like a backseat bird's eye view of what happened in the game, you can pick apart things and you can sort of point out what you need to work on. I have found that reviewing my own games, particularly my really bad games, have helped me tremendously. And I think from an individual standpoint, that is huge to have teams who may be struggling improve. Like, look at your games, watch yourself lose, and then tell yourself, why did I lose? Why did I make this mistake? How can I not make this mistake again? And then you can share that info with your teammates. But if you're a team that's struggling, I think synergistically, I do agree with Kappa. Like, you have to get on the same page. I think like it's a team game. and really good teams can lose a lot if they're not on the same page. So in that case, stuff like flex and stuff like just playing norms together, just hanging out, like talking about the game, like even if you're just sitting at a call and just theory crafting or like oh, what do you think of this, that? I think that stuff is highly underrated.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. So I think if you guys want for these teams that we were kind of ranking as like our bottom teams, the conversation I want it to be about how do you guys, what is your path to improve? Like how do you get into the gauntlet and start making a run, right? And I think that's it. Find a consistent lineup of 5 people that don't hate each other.
Who can have fun together, you know what I mean? And then even if you lose, at least you guys are enjoying your time. Yeah. And like that's a win in its own right. And like I know it's cheesy, but it is.
Yeah, and like losing is not fun. Losing fucking sucks.
It's never fun.
I hate it.
No,
but it can get you better, and if you have 5 people that are decent human beings that can get along and then play the game, talk about the game together, it's a really underrated way to improve when you have community with your teammates. Like you get better when you get along. It really is just true.
And when you're in this stage, right, it's also important to look at your wins. Don't just look at what went wrong. Look at, okay, we did this, we made this call, or we tried this thing, and it worked out really well. Because a lot of the thing you want to be doing when you're doing this is figuring out this method works.
Yes, what doesn't and what does work.
Right. Yeah. It's both are important.
Yeah, for sure. And trust. That's a big one for me. I think a lot of times the reason teams lack synergy or lack an ability to keep the same roster week to week, or lack the ability to, like, once they find a roster, just find those wins. I think a lot of times, like, if you don't trust your teammates, you hold back, you hesitate on plays, you don't trust calls, you argue in comms. And I'm not saying like having a discussion in comms mid-game is an issue, but what I'm saying is like, if you are having like a disagreement with someone in comms mid-game because you just don't trust them, like that speaks volumes about synergistic issues on your team. Right. You know, so like anything that you can do to like trust your teammates and be like, okay, like these guys, these lads, these lasses, whoever, I trust them, we're gonna play as a team, you know.
Right. Yep.
The most deadly mindset is believing that you need to compensate for someone else on your team.
Oh, I agree with that. But with that, so that's I didn't mean to give advice to the bottom 4 teams, but there's advice for the bottom 4 teams. And
not just for the bottom 4 teams. This is for any
any
player
team
in IBS, Gold, Plat, etc. Like
anyone looking to get to the next step.
Right.
From people that have played way too fucking long in competitive league, these are our tips on how to.
From people who have won and lost.
Okay, anybody that's played in CGG, if you've got illusions of going pro, I think you need to look in the mirror a little bit. This is a for fun activity.
Yeah.
Like this is complete. If you're not having fun, why the heck are you doing
this? So I think the main concerns we have with most of the bottom 4 teams here is that they don't have stability and they don't look like they have any direction. So find stability, get a direction, and then maybe we can bump you up into these next 4 spots.
Even if it's the wrong direction, stick to one.
At least it's the direction.
Stick to something.
So let's move into the middle of the pack.
This is where things get a little harder for me.
So if we go strictly by wins and losses, which we are gonna try to avoid, then it would be same strategy: Hive Mind, Delta, and Solar Flare would be our like 4 middle of the pack teams.
Don't we have same strategy at
we
at
do.
11?
I'm just saying off of wins and losses because they are currently in 3rd place in Division B, according to the stat sheet.
But what about the roster and standing sheet?
Right. Yeah. So it's a little messed up. So, but what we have, I want to argue that the next team, so this should be number 8, I think would be TD Shadow, in my mind. TD Shadow is to me. So the starters, as far as the doc shows me, is Zyphus. Is it Rhymes? Man,
yeah.
I shouldn't be.
They've played one more game than the standing sheet shows.
Yeah.
By the way,
see the
this
dark.
is so hard when people are missing multiple weeks in a row. It's just annoying to update all of it.
Zyphus, Rhymes, See the Dark, Girth Brooks, which is a great name, and then Brandon needs help. This team, so they have, I think they have one.
They have one win.
Quality win though, right? They
it's hard. It's hard because when RAR was feeling themselves, RAR looked like a really good team, and they beat RAR, but then they lost pretty handedly to both Goon Squad Kappa and to Feed the Dream Black.
I don't think losing to those two teams is any metric on you being a bad team, though. I think losing to both of those teams is what pretty well cements you as a middle tier team right now. Because to me, Kappa and FTD are the powerhouses of this division right now. That can absolutely change really at any point. And with losses to those two teams doesn't really dissuade me from putting them right here. Where do you think, or do you think there should be someone below them or above them, or where you at?
It's hard because like I look at what they've played, right? Like they played RAR when RAR seemed to be really good, and they've only played 2 other games against the top 2 teams. Like, do I agree that they're in this category? Yeah, but I look at some of the others, right? Where I'm more inclined personally to put Hive Mind here than I am TD Shadow.
I am open to that. Sell me. What do you got?
Okay, so this is actually where a lot of it is so it comes down to primarily 3 players, and that's the fact that they just did what in my mind is a really, really good roster swap for them. So they put Zyphus back to support, they put Brandon Needs Help back to AD carry, and they brought in Crockpot.
Great name.
I forgot they brought in Crockpot, and Crockpot was one of the best top laners in the league last split, right?
Right. And Zyphus and Brandon Needs Help in these roles were one of the best bot lanes in the league last split.
Yeah, I take it back. So, just they were on those two were on
it was TFA. Their current
TFA.
Organization outside of here is Kingpin Gaming, the roster with Top Baller and Young Rich Boy.
Right.
Also solid players, even though they're not in this league at the moment.
Yeah, I actually hadn't realized until now that Young Rich Boy wasn't in here, and it was fun.
He ranked out is what happened. Okay. He ranked out after they submitted their initial application, and they withdrew it.
Well, I think you have successfully convinced me that TD Shadow, if that is the lineup we're talking about, then they are 100%. Probably skip two spots at least.
Right. To me, I put them 6th, right? Which is they are the bottom of what I would consider the top tier.
So you would call that like the gatekeeping.
They are the gatekeeper, right? Like if
they're the comfy cartel.
Yeah, they're the
comfy cartel. So it's hard for me, and a lot of the reason that I would put Hive Mind in 8th isn't so much of they have only played 3 games, right? They're now getting into the last part of their season, right? A lot of it is I feel more strongly about putting TD Shadow 6 and TFF Solar Flare 7 than I do putting Hive Mind in either of those spots. And that's kind of where I go with putting Hive Mind 8th.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. So so I think a more interesting conversation then would be TFF Solar Flare versus Hive Mind. Where do you see that breakdown happening?
It comes down to 2 players. Okay. And this is real. And that's Momentai versus Lengmo.
Yeah. That's to me Momentai is the standout of Hive Mind. Like,
and to me, Lengmo is the standout of TFF Solar Flare, and it's whichever one of these players is able to get their team going and get their team rolling, is where it's going to come from, right?
Well, let me bring Swifty into this conversation. So Lengmo being the mid laner for TFF Solar Flare, Momentai being the jungler for Hive Mind. Where do you see a breakdown on so we have these 2 teams where either the mid laner needs to hard carry or the jungler needs to hard carry? In your mind, for IBS,
what's going to be easier to accomplish?
What's going to be easier to accomplish in IBS? Right.
I think what's funny is, as you were speaking, and I heard those 2 players, I'm like, okay, what roles are these 2 players, right? Because I had a feeling you were going to ask. And then I realized I'm not even sure if it's a question of like, well, in gold it's this, and well, in plat it's this, well, in IBS it's this. I think it's definitely team dependent. I think you can make an argument for that a jungler has significantly higher map presence, right, than a mid would. But there are certainly styles of play where a mid laner can have an enormous amount of impact cross map and even in the jungle. You know what I mean? Like there are strategies where a mid can play sort of like a jungle for a jungle v jungle matchup, and move with a jungler, get prio, that sort of thing. To me, what that says is it ultimately comes down to, have these two teams played?
They will not play except for playoffs.
Yeah,
They are
except for
in
playoffs.
opposite sides of their opposite divisions.
So, I mean, ultimately, then, if they play in playoffs, then that would be the way to see what, I guess, in this specific case, what's more important. I do think if they ever see each other in playoffs, if you have a jungle carry versus a mid carry, the way to beat that other team is going to be to draft to that. I think it's easier to draft to have your jungle carry in IBS. I'm not entirely confident on that, as you could probably hear in my tone. I think if you're a confident enough drafting team in IBS, you can shut down a mid lanes pool. I think it's harder to in jungle. I think it is easier, or it's easier to fall into being a meta slave as an IBS jungler, even as a gold jungler or a plat jungler. And therefore it's harder to inevitably shut down a jungle pick than it is to just shut down a mid pick. So I'm leaning jungle is what I'll say. But I do think there are a lot of specifics that could pull it one way or the other.
Okay, so that would have us.
Leper.
Leper. We don't hear you.
Leper.
You're doing.
I think I killed his mic.
All right, so we can. Leper, give him a second. Anyway, so what I would say is yes. I think for the bottom four teams, my advice is find your win condition, build synergy, and work from there. In these middle of the pack of what we would consider middle of the pack, again, we don't know shit. We could be completely wrong and likely even are. I would say that you should know who your win condition is, and then, as Swifty pointed out, it's time to start realizing who that is, draft around them, and play around them. If you've got more than one, that's great. You'll probably break into the top spots then, if that's the case. But if you can drop your egos and say, okay, this person is our primary carry, we're going to do our best to assist them and play around them, draft around them, and give them resources, and we will trust that they can carry, you're going to break away from that middle spot and jump into the top half of the top third of the standings, I think.
For sure. Knowing how to get carried if you're one of the other players that isn't those two powerhouse picks.
Knowing how to get carried and how to enable carries is an art.
It'll get you so far.
Yeah, it really will. We can. Leper might check.
Was he frozen? Oh no.
No, he's moving. He looks so displeased with what's happening right now.
I'm so sorry, Leper.
Well, we can go on from there. So we have TFF Solar Flare, and then let's see, who do we? So we have Hivemind and TFF Solar Flare kind of locked into those spots. So we would go into number 6 and number 5, I believe, is who we were looking at. Leper, are you stepping away? Okay.
He's stepping away. It's me and you.
It's just us. Oh Lord,
I
wasn't prepared for this.
Neither was I.
So we've got was it 5 teams left? Am I looking at this sheet wrong? We've got RAR, Same Strategy, Hyperion, LGC Spartans, Hivemind, TFF Solar Flare, and I feel like we listed someone else. And TD Shadow. TD Shadow would be.
TD Shadow was 6.
Yeah. Okay. So what we have left is we've got FTD Black, GSG Kappa, BDE, Revolution Uprising, and GSG Delta. I would argue that the 5th spot would go to GSG Delta, which is my team, so the team that I work with. So my argument around this is that we haven't seen enough from this team, and I'm sorry if you hear my dogs in the back, but
okay.
We haven't seen enough. So GSG Delta played on week 1 and lost to TFF Solar Flare with a sub squad. We had our support role swap to mid, and our sub support played, and we got 2-0'd by TFF Solar Flare. The next week, we played against LGC Spartans with our roster, 2-0'd LGC Spartans. And from then on, we have not played a match for the last 3 weeks. We had an exhibition match against Rev that didn't happen. We had a bye week on week 4, and then week 5, we had an FF from Hyperion IBS. So, I am biased. I know scrim results. I know how we've been doing in practice. But if I'm being objective, we do not know enough about this team. Tonight versus BDE will be a defining spot for Delta to see if they are a top team or a middle of the pack team. I definitely don't think they're a bottom team, but again, maybe that's my bias.
From a standings end, this is super significant as far as where these team finishes, because there's a difference between second and third seed is with the playoff format is pretty big. So if Delta beats BDE tonight and then both win next week, it ends up in a position. Well, for BDE, this is their final game. So if Delta beats BDE and Delta beats Revolution, which is a lot easier said than done, Delta would be second because of tiebreakers.
And to just be fair, I think I've listed every other team's name roster, but for Delta, we've got One Hand in the top, Salamander Speak in the jungle, Axel in the mid, Finch Flinchley, A carry, and Chubby Chernobyl on support. I can pronounce their names because I say them a lot. But yeah, I think it's just easy. It's easy to put Delta there. We don't know enough, but after tonight, we will.
I can absolutely agree with that. This is the hardest section for me, right? Because I know scrim results, right? I know what people are doing and I know what people are saying, but there's only so much that we can go on as far as like official play. Like Delta is having their 3-week stretch end, and Kappa is in the middle of their 3-week stretch.
Yeah. Well, we can move on to what we consider the top 4 teams then. I think so. Who we have left is we have BDE, Revolution Uprising, FTD Black, and GSG Kappa. I would argue that I've said I will argue a lot. I hate when I say things a lot. I would say it's different that I would slot it's between Kappa and BDE in this 4th, 3rd spot.
I absolutely agree with you.
And I think I would lean, and maybe this is my trying to not be biased working against me, is that I think I would lean with Kappa in that 4th spot for now. These 4 teams to me are really close, like legitimately. They all have multiple points that of carry potential. They all have stayed together. The rosters have been consistent, or at least mostly consistent. And they all have had really, they've had good showings already. Strong wins from all 4 of these teams already. The only big losses that they've really had is to each other. These 4 teams, right? So you see like Revolution 2-0ing BDE in week 1. Then you have FTD 2-1ing Kappa in week 2, and then they've had kind of good all around good showings from there. So
can we, if we're going to this level, right? Can we make the statement that given that against the respective number 1 seeds, Kappa had a 2-1 and BDE had a 2-0?
I think that is a fair.
I mean, I'm not trying to
Swifty,
anything, right?
Swifty, weigh in on that one.
I think, like on paper, it's an easy way to say, okay, so this person 4, this person 3. But when you say that, you therefore equate the power of those 2 number 1 seeds.
Exactly.
So the question really then becomes, which of those teams should be getting 2-1 and 2-0'd? And does that change your answer?
Yeah. I think it's between Leper. Do you think if BDE plays against FTD Black, if they played tonight, what would happen? This
I
is-
can't tell if you're
It's-
frozen or thinking.
It's a
It's
tough one. It's
hard.
a tough
I'm
one.
thinking.
It's
I'm
really
thinking.
hard. It's really hard,
It's
man.
really hard, right?
So you've got.
And
let's-
the answer to me, honestly, it depends on draft and preparation, right? From both sides, there are champions and things that you have to be very conscious of, right?
right.
Or else it does. Like, I don't want to ruin it, but like BDE has been developing a freaking nasty, really unique team comp
Yeah.
that they've been doing really, really well with. And so, like, if they're able to get that particular team comp, then I have a lot of faith in BDE. But at the same time, if you like, um, if you give FTD Black certain things, like you're in that same position.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like it'd be huge draft issue there. I will say it's a lot easier for me to go personally and say Revolution #1, FTD Black #2.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a lot easier for me to say than BDE 3 or Kappa 3.
Yeah. I think if Rev played FTD Black right now, it would be a 2-0 to Rev, if not a 2-1. FTD Black could probably take a game off Rev, but I think as the season has gone on, I think more teams have the potential to take games off of Rev. Either figuring out how to play versus them or draft versus them is the big thing, I think. I will say, given Swifty's proposition, I think that we could probably settle on Kappa 4 and BDE 3rd. I do think that.
Okay, now, I've got a thing.
Okay, do the thing.
They dropped the game to LGC.
Aha! I was literally
did.
waiting for it. I was like, technically rankings they never really work linearly.
They
It's
don't- they
never
don't
really
work
a
it.
true line.
I'm perfectly fine with BDE 3, and my personal opinion is if BDE played Kappa right now, BDE would win. That's my personal opinion, and that's
I
my
think-
team.
Good teams can drop games to not as good teams and still be good teams.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's always an element of playing to your competition, right?
Right.
Yeah. You shouldn't if you're a team that's a powerhouse, you should treat every game the same, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
it happens. You know what I mean? We're only human, and people,
What people do is they ego draft. Is what
ego
they
draft,
really
and
do.
they have
Yeah.
preconceptions about what's
Right.
going to happen,
Right.
and one thing leads to another.
So I think, I think it's fair that we put Kappa there, BDE, and then to me, it's not even a conversation right now. Rev has just whooped ass across the board so far. I hope that we get to see FTD Black and Rev play. I really want to see it.
I gotta say, I like the name "Feed the Dream Black." I think that's a cool name.
It is at this
Props to you
point.
guys.
Feed the Dream Black is the longest consecutive running team in ZGG IBS.
Really?
This is the doing math in my brain. The 5th iteration of it. We've been here since season 5.
So we're now showing our full list of our power rankings. What we kind of think, and again, you can probably read, but Rev to me on top is just still until someone. I mean, they have 2-0'd every game so far, right? Like, I'm not crazy, am I?
You are correct. You're
okay,
correct.
so until they
none of them have looked particularly close.
Yeah, so until they at least even drop a game, there's really just no reason to put them anywhere but first in my mind. FTD Black, the 2, 3, and 4 are so interesting to me because again, FTD Black going 2-1 against Kappa, that series could have flipped if a couple things went right for Kappa. That series was a great series. BDE
Probably the best series on stream we've had.
I 100% agree. BDE
Watch that
versus
one.
Delta tonight. You should go rewatch it. It was actually a banger series.
I think I was able to export it to YouTube. I'm not 100%.
I believe so, yeah. BDE and Delta tonight is going to tell you a lot
That's going to be an awesome game.
about both of these teams, as if they're going to. Is BDE going to end up being a gatekeeper team, or is Delta going to be a gatekeeper team? One of them is probably going to fall into that wayside, into that slot, and we'll find out who that is tonight, which I'm very excited about.
I do want to talk a minute about like why I feel that Feed the Dream Black is clearly number 2 versus Revolution for a second. Can we do that? Because we don't often talk about these teams in detail. We just go, well, that's obvious, right? Like, so a lot of it for me comes down to a level of consistency from players, right? That I continually see. I haven't ever seen anybody this split put Revolution on the back foot. Does that make sense, right? Like they're able to play the same game every game because nobody is countering or stopping what they're doing. FTD has had similar successes, right? But it has been more variable. There have been moments where they have needed a really, really clutch play, right? Or they have needed a really nice pick or something like this in order to maintain their level of dominance, even against some of the lesser teams, so to speak, right? And Revolution hasn't seen that. And that's a lot of where I go here is that I just haven't seen, I haven't talked to anybody in scrims even, right? Where people have really been able to throw Revolution off their game, which will be interesting for playoffs, because I do think that throwing Revolution off their game, getting them off script, is step 1 to beating Revolution. And I think that there's 5 teams in this league that have the quality of players to beat Revolution, right? But that's my basic answer, right?
Yeah, I think that's super fair. We have, like I said, these top teams are defined by a multiple points of carry potential in my mind. So it's like General Denobi obviously has carry potential. Wisdom
Exotic
obviously
Fox.
has Wisdom and Exotic Fox obviously have carry potential. I'm not saying jungle support can't carry, but from watching the games, I feel like they're mainly enabling the carries, which is perfectly fine.
And in particular, when I was asking coaches about everything, once was the jungler that everybody had. Everybody was talking about how good they were at setting up their carries, right?
Just a play facilitator. Right?
They're not carrying the game in the long run, but they are definitely getting the game on script for Revolution.
It's a great name. There's some quality names in this league, and there are also some terrible ones. So we won't have to get into what the terrible ones are. But and then FTD Black, where do you see the points? Like, where do you see the carry potential here?
So it's Vinny, Prevail, and Merit. Where you have support coming from Mystic and Tame, you have your third carry coming from the jungler.
Yeah, hard agree with that. And I want to say we didn't really go into the depth on BDE's roster too much. So let's I guess or Kappa or Deltas. So let's go ahead and quickly go through that for a second, just to see where their strengths are.
BDE here you've got Sightstone. My brain died. Sightstone, Willow, and Ark's Knight. All three of these people can carry.
I also want to highlight that just Sightstone's pool is insane. Like you see someone just locking Talon, Zed, Yasuo, Yone, all these AD assassins.
Oh my god!
Off.
Everything that I would tell a silver player to never
exactly.
Watch.
but you I think it was last week or the week before last where Sightstone B1'd Yasuo and then was 12-4 at the end of the game. I mean,
I would have lost my mind.
It was wild.
got the opportunity to play with Sightstone in Runeterra Academy, right? And we did the B1 Yasuo and got clapped.
Yeah, because
it's risky.
you're coin flipping the game if you
You're
B1
coin
but
Yasuo.
flipping.
at the
Like
same
you have
at
to
the same
understand that if you
then
B1
then
Yasuo,
we
you are
turn
not in control.
around. Then you turn around and play Zed and you get 25 kills. Like it's Sightstone, in
Just
my
silver
opinion.
things.
Just
Sightstone is the life of this team, right?
Yeah,
If
it
Sightstone
seems
is
like it.
playing well, this team is a monster. If not, it's not to say that they don't have threats, but this
Absolutely.
is much more an idea of a one carry team with other supporting cast members than some of the others.
How frequently are we seeing R5 save for mids?
Very
Ace player.
infrequently, but I would say.
Very infrequently?
Yeah.
R5, at least in my opinion, on red side is most commonly mid. I don't see it,
Really?
at least for
Maybe
me.
In
maybe
silver?
I
I'm
see, yeah.
I think it
see,
should be.
I
But
think it's see more R4 um, tops than I do.
yeah, I mean, you'll typically see R1, R2, AD support combo, or if there's a prio jungler that your team wants.
Exactly.
And then an R3 will be like a finishing off one of the three that wasn't picked and saving counter pick for.
Yeah, I
Julia.
guess I'm biased because my team like R5's top like 99% of the time.
Well, that's
but
but that's
Well, I
that's
mean, you can
Delta,
draft. You can
right?
totally
no,
draft.
no,
like
I'm
that
talking
if-
about
if it-
Sigma. I'm talking about Sigma. Which
Sigma.
Is,
Well, that's
physical?
also Sigma
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
players that you have, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Dobbs is much more comfortable blinding and playing the
Right.
supporty than physical is. Like it's.
Right. But yeah, I think that's.
I mean,
fair.
I could see the same thing between Axel and One Hand too. Like
Yeah,
that's not
yeah.
a surprise to me
Yeah.
either.
So let's briefly go into Kappa and Delta real quick.
Okay.
And just break down their roster. So Leper, since Leper's on Kappa, you can excuse yourself from the conversation if you want to.
Okay.
But for me, this is like the thread you talked to hide yourself. I can't look at you. So it's going for a two threat, and what I would argue is that most of the time you're going to see OMG. If they get something on a comfortable, good matchup, OMG is going to just 1v5 a game with the supporting cast members. And then it's interesting for Kappa. There's usually like this rotating door of secondary carries, which I think is a strength of teams when you have Snuggle, Leper, and Timic, all that have like actual DPS carry potential. And it depends on the game. It depends on the draft. So their Kappa is not shoehorned into if we're not winning mid, we're not winning the game. They're into we're probably gonna be winning mid, but if we're not winning mid, we're probably winning top or bot, or we're winning jungle. Leper had a what was your KDA last like 2 weeks ago on Trundle across 2 games?
I don't know what the KDA was. I have to look at.
It was
the
insane.
max
It was
for that.
crazy. So Kappa definitely a strong team. Multiple threats. We'll have to wait. You guys don't play tonight, right? You play in 2 weeks.
We play next week
Next week.
against Hive Mind, and then that's our season.
And then, all right. So let's briefly go into Delta a bit, and I will pass the baton to you two for that conversation.
Okay,
And then
so
we can wrap up.
Delta is a weird one for me, right? Because I look at Delta as a 2 carry position, and it's opposite sides of the map. Now that some of that is my perspective, the fact that One Hand claps me every time we scrim. But I look at this is top or bot, right? But it's primarily bot, if that makes sense. Like you have a supportive mid laner here in Axel. Axel's going to play those late game scaling control mages, and he's going to do his job very, very well. And he's very, very good at it. But I don't look at him as a carry. He's not going to be solo carrying the game. And I have seen over and over and over again in scrims, Finch Flenchley absolutely hard carry matches. Like I don't know of another 80 carry in this league that is mandatory to 2-ban every game. I still maintain from the beginning of the split that Finch Flenchley is the best 80 carry in the league.
How
So
close is it?
how
Chubby
close?
wants.
I think depending on who you ask, I think Wisdom, Arcs, Prevail, Snuggle are all in that league, but I don't see them having the same consistent 1v9 performances that I have seen out of Finch.
I think
That
that,
and that's
and this isn't
Yeah.
typical, at least from my experience. Maybe it is for you, Leopard, but I think we probably have the best, from my experience, the best group of 80 carries in silver that we've ever had in my memory.
I would agree. This is the most stacked 80 carry split. Like last split, it was junglers.
Yeah,
No,
it was.
last
It
summer.
was
Last summer it was junglers.
right.
I don't remember what
I think it
was.
was
I can't
top
say-
laners. I think it was top laners last time.
Top
'Cause it
laners
was
last
like
split. Like
Cra-
there's
like
always
Crockpot
one
and
role
Denobi
that is and Psych
And Psych,
yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of really good 80 carries right now. But Delta is a little weird for that. Is like it's you have your primary carries on opposite sides of the map.
Well, Swifty, any final thoughts? I know you just kind of hopped in here. You haven't been keeping up with IBS too much, but we appreciate.
I
you.
haven't. I've been doing just as much research as I can.
Yeah,
these players
of
I know.
course.
It seems like this it's very tiered. At least you guys have said that. And I guess in the weeks coming forward, how many weeks do we have left for IBS?
We have one week left of regular season, not counting today. So this is week 6.
So
Next
this week and the next week.
Leper.
Wow.
We just got a sub for BDE tonight.
Oh.
Damn.
I actually was watching that get added.
Damn it.
Oh no, it's a cat. Is the name of that person.
I'm sad.
Oh.
So my previous
And,
statement
no,
about like
it's a cat.
my previous statement about knowing a lot about from
It's
this game.
It's a bronze 1 AD/support player?
Yeah.
AD/mid player?
Makes me sad.
That's unfortunate because I was really
It's a great
hoping
name.
that they would play it. It is a great name.
It is. Yeah.
So that brings us into a brief. Let's talk about the matches for tonight. Okay.
Let's do
so
that.
we've got BDE versus Goon Squad. With this, I'm gonna go out and say that I think we're gonna do this yet to be named style. You ready?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to be name style.
Yet to be named style.
I'm not
yeah,
usually in on this.
Should I even say anything if I don't know? Should
No,
we preface with chat? I don't know what I'm talking about.
No.
So...
It's better if you don't know. Just say it like you confidently believe it. Just go for it. It's fine.
I will confidently believe it.
Big Duck Entourage versus Goon Squad Gaming Delta. Delta 2-0.
Delta 2-1.
2-1 Entourage.
Okay. Hyperion IBS versus TFF Solar Flare.
Oh, this is so hard for me.
TFF 2-1.
2-0.
Yeah, I think it's a 2-0. Hyperion, I believe in you. Just prove me wrong. TFF 2-0 though.
I severely think that roster issues are like the number one deaths of teams.
It is.
So.
It is.
That one I can actually kind of feel confident about. It's like I really think for teams with roster issues.
This one's gonna be easy, I think.
Revolution Uprising versus LGC Spartans, or Revolution 2-0.
Spartans 3-0.
Oh my god.
Now, I will say, if Spartans takes a game off Revolution, that's
gonna be huge. And they took a game off BDE, right? So like they can obviously take it.
And
they
that
can
was
obviously take
and that was also the full BDE roster. So
right.
yeah.
Yep. So I think it's a 2-0, but LGC, bring it. Do something.
Bring it.
Bring the heat.
RAR versus FTD Black, FTD 2-0. Hopefully there's more than one game.
Hopefully there's more than one game. If there isn't, honestly, in my opinion, never mind. Anyway, we're gonna keep going. I'll tell you guys after stream what I was
FTD 2-0. Yep.
And then the final game of tonight, wrong game. TD Shadow versus Hivemind Gaming. I'm gonna say TD 2-1, but in my opinion, if you're gonna watch either of the stream matches tonight are gonna be good. I think that TD Shadow, Hivemind Gaming is probably gonna be the more likely to be an absolute banger.
I'm gonna go with TD 2-0 because of those roster positions that you promised me. So
I have to agree.
if the roster is what you said earlier, I'm saying 2-0 for TD.
That's what they ran last
I'll agree
week.
with Decker because I like his face.
Oh, okay.
I also
I like
yours
your
too,
jersey.
Pepper.
I like your jersey.
I like your jersey, baby.
All right, is that
So
all?
That is it. That
hey,
is it. And I
chat. Thanks for hanging out. Swifty, thanks for hopping on.
Of course.
We'll be back next week, maybe with even 4 of us. That'd be cool, right?
That'd be cool.
We
We are
can look at
gonna be
Texas face
doing
again.
we are gonna be doing some player rankings next week.
Also, someone ban Chubby, if you don't mind, just from the chat. I don't have mod privileges, but someone can mute him or
someone mod me.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll be doing. What did you say? What did we say? Player.
We're gonna be
power
doing
rankings?
some player rankings next week.
Yeah. So if you want to hear us not just talk about your team, but you personally, and do know whenever we make a comment, we mean it about you as a person. So if we think that you are a bottom tier player, we also think you're a bottom tier human being. Is what I'm saying. I think, is that fair?
Yeah. Your ability at League of Legends is directly equivalent and congruent to your value as a human being.
Yes, exactly.
That's what we've been saying.
We're setting that.
And the best part about this is with the way that some of y'all act towards the things we say.
Okay,
exactly.
I'm going to give these guys props. I'm going to give these guys and girls props in silver way calmer and more rational than the golds.
I would agree with that 100%.
After being on the gold one, Jesus.
As someone who is in the gold Twitch chat, I completely agree with you.
I don't even read the gold chat anymore.
Yeah, I stopped. I just eat up all of their tiers is what it is when I think their team's not that great.
Well, we're gonna cut it here.
Anyway.
About 25 minutes until the next show until the show starts for the matches tonight. Make sure just leave the browser open. It's gonna pop up right here. Don't go anywhere. And we'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see you guys next week.